Welcome back.
Lord, we just want to thank you for your bringing us here safely, Jesus. And I pray that you would just bless Anton as he speaks the word, that his knowledge would be absorbed in our minds and our soul, and then we would take it home with us. Thank you, Lord, in the name of Jesus.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I really appreciate you guys all coming out. We've got a nice little presentation that is a bit of a repeat from what we've done a couple months ago. I don't know how many of you guys had a chance to show up here in person the last time we did our YouTube presentation, but we had some technical difficulties, so we weren't able to put the video up on YouTube, so you wouldn't have caught the replay. So literally, if you weren't here, you missed it. So we've got all the devices synced up. We're good to go there. So this will be recorded. It will go up on the YouTube channel. You don't catch it live. Folks catch it at home from Zoom. Then you can always catch the replay. And definitely, you find some value in it, you want to share it with others, definitely let them know. Go to the EFC YouTube channel and connect with it there. Our website, bizforchrist.com, is actually down at the moment. We're migrating over to a new server. That is where you would normally find all the connections to go to YouTube, all the the blogs, everything that we've got going on with the class is there. Just maybe about 24 hours, maybe 48 hours, and we'll have that back up. But normally that's where you would go to find everything going on with the class, bizforchrist.com. Let me just kind of right here. B-I-Z, the number 4, Christ.com. So, and then if you have not subscribed to our email list, you can do so there. We'll get you in the loop and get you our email blast. So upcoming speaker for the week, also kind of gives a preview of some upcoming topics. And again, links to everything that you need to connect into the website, social media, everything. So if you haven't signed up for that, I highly recommend that you do so. So today's presentation is called YouTube 101 Abridged. For anybody who saw this last time, you'll see why I'm calling it the abridged version. I've tacked on something towards the end that's going to help kind of consolidate and summarize a lot of the points that are brought up in the presentation. Don't feel like you guys need to take notes feverishly. Definitely write down anything you see value in writing down, but you can actually get this presentation through the website once it's back up. We have all of our presentations that our presenters have provided there, so you guys can always go there. Sometimes there's things that are live linked in the presentation. Clearly, you're not able to click on it and go to what that leads to here while you're watching. So you can access those through the website. They're all stored on a Google Drive. So there's an archive there listed by speaker. Byron's presentation is there, mine, Carlos's. Anybody who's actually done a presentation up here, those presentations are there for you guys to access 24/7. So I encourage you to do that. Again, the website's back up. You'll be able to do that. So YouTube, I know pretty much everybody here knows what YouTube is all about. You probably use it on a regular basis. If not from a usership perspective, you're probably publishing on YouTube. But for the uninitiated, there we go. What is YouTube? YouTube is a free online video platform owned by Google. So for anybody who didn't know, Google owns YouTube and Alphabet owns Google. Pretty much Google owns everything. And total users watch more than 1 billion hours of YouTube videos each day. So it is definitely where people throughout the world are going to consume a lot of content. And hundreds of hours of video content are uploaded to YouTube servers every minute. So people are publishing there all the time. Why? Because it's free. You guys have heard of Rumble and BitChute and all these other platforms that are out there. The downside from a content publisher perspective is that you have to pay for those. They are not free. And if they have anything remotely close to a free account, it is highly limited. YouTube is free and they do not care how much content you publish. Why? Because their main goal is to get people going there. So it's kind of a freemium model, right? They give it to you for free, but they're getting something out of it, which we'll get to here in just a second. Now, because of the vast amount of inquiries made on YouTube daily, it is actually the second most used search engine in the world behind Google, and Google, again, owns them both. So number one search engine is Google. Number two, technically, is YouTube, and Google owns them both. So when you are dealing with YouTube, you're dealing with Google, you gotta play by their rules. So there are some misconceptions about YouTube. Main one is that YouTube uses one algorithm to rank all the content or to put that into a suggested feed. That is false. Okay, YouTube is actually using multiple algorithms depending on what part of the page you're looking at. Now, there's certain parts of the page that people kind of focus on more so than others. So the home page and the recommendation feed, those are the two that we're going to focus on here. And the YouTube's recommendation system is actually designed to find videos for viewers rather than viewers for videos. I know that sounds a little weird, right? And it seems like, well, wait a minute, how does that make sense? They need to keep the viewers happy. They need to keep you consuming as much of their content as possible. The longer you spend on YouTube, the more money they make. So it is a little counterintuitive because you think, well, as a publisher, wouldn't they want to try to get your stuff out to make it? Not so much. There are rules that you should be following as a publisher to try to help that effort. But ultimately, they're not catering to you, they're catering to the people, which is kind of a good thing. We'll learn about how they do that here a little bit more in just a second. Now, when a user visits YouTube, the recommendation system pulls in videos and ranks those videos that are going to be highly likely for that person to watch. Now, I'm going to show you guys a little bit more about how they do that. Now, YouTube aims to help each viewer find videos that they want to watch and maximize the long-term viewer satisfaction so they keep coming back. So if you're ever curious as to why certain things are popping up, you maybe watched one type of content and that type of content seems to be suggested to you on a regular basis. You're like, how is YouTube doing it? You see why. YouTube's advertising revenue hit $6.9 billion in the last quarter of 2020, which this is a bounce back from the pandemic-driven acceleration, but that's actually up 46% from the $4.7 billion YouTube made in ad revenue over the same period in 2019, which was pre-pandemic. So because of the pandemic, people have been driven online, watching more content. YouTube is one of those places where they went to digest a lot of that content, and that has driven up ad revenue for YouTube. So YouTube and Google made a lot of money off of you staying at home and watching stuff for free. Okay. Now, the ranking factors. There are some internal and external ranking factors when it comes to the content on YouTube. As publishers, you guys want to know this stuff because it'll help you kind of have that holistic approach to the development of your content strategy and implementation of it so that you can get the juice that you're looking for. If you're publishing on YouTube, 9 times out of 10, you want people to find it. You want people to go there. You want the social engagement. You maybe have monetized your channel, so you're getting a bit of that ad revenue that these guys are making. So these factors are going to be very important. Let's talk about the internal factors first. So this has changed over time. Much like with Google algorithms, they learn and they change over time. The basis or the top ranking factors for YouTube have evolved in this way. From 2011, it used to be clicks and views, but that was a real easy way to game the system. And this is what people did. I mean, when YouTube first came out, they knew that clicks and views were driving things. So what they did is they programmed software to generate fake clicks and fake views. Okay, they have caught up to that. So they have, even though that is still a ranking factor, it's no longer the driving ranking factor because they know people can easily manipulate that through software or just through forums. You'd be surprised. In third world countries, they actually have these large data centers, computer centers, where they'll have nothing but people with laptops up and they just bring up screens and just pull them up and press play. They're not even watching the content. They're just doing that to generate the activity. Google's not stupid, YouTube's not stupid. They figured out a way to get around that. In 2012, it became watch time. But see, this again, all you have to do is bring up the screen, press play, and walk away. Are you actually watching the content? No. Does YouTube or Google, do they think you're watching it? Yes. So once again, that became a ranking factor that was no longer viable as the top ranking factor because it was too easy to manipulate. Now, well, I should say since 2015, we're at viewer satisfaction. Okay, this is really the meat of this whole algorithm right now. Okay, not again the only factor; it is the top factor, is the viewer satisfaction, because YouTube's top priority is to rank content according to what will leave a user feeling satisfied. Now, that satisfaction is not necessarily always a good one, right? They have social engagement metrics that are negative. You know, you can like or dislike a video. Just because you dislike something doesn't throw it into the sandbox. You're generating activity, you're showing engagement. That is going to still keep that thing up in the range. Yes, sir.
How do you know there's viewer satisfaction? If you watch the video, what feedback do they get to determine that you have viewer satisfaction?
Glad you asked that. So if, go ahead and ask that again.
For the people on
For the people online. Yeah.
YouTube. How does YouTube know that you have viewer satisfaction? Because the only thing I think they're seeing is the watch time. So if someone's watching, even if they're not watching it, then how do they get that feedback, in fact, of viewer satisfaction?
Good question. That's right here. How does YouTube measure viewer satisfaction? Good question. It was already coming up next. So YouTube learns what users like by periodically displaying those surveys. You guys have seen these, I'm sure. Whether you answer them or not, people do. Okay, so they'll throw those little surveys up every now and again. That's one way that they do it. Another way that they do it is data from surveys used to train prediction models to identify the videos that are highly satisfying. So software, again, will tell them that, hey, people like cute animal videos. So cute animal videos is a highly ranked type of content. You know, these are things that go on the back end at very deep level. They have lots of granular data points that they don't even show to us. God, I wish they did, but they don't. YouTube also uses engagement systems to measure viewer satisfaction, like dislikes and likes and dislikes, and clicks of the not interested button. So these are the kinds of things that are really driving that viewer satisfaction metric. So the engagement, are people commenting on it? Are they thumbs upping? Are they thumbs downing? Are they sharing it? These are all things that YouTube can see. So just views alone, watch time, again, those are all factors still in the equation, but this is how they're figuring out if it's satisfied or not. So to answer your question, those are your main points right there. Now, you know, if somebody, just think about it from your own usership perspective. If you're watching something on YouTube and you, doesn't matter, like it, hate it, whatever, you want to engage in some way, shape, or form, you're gonna leave a comment. You're gonna thumbs up, you're gonna thumbs down. Maybe, you know, it's worthy enough to share out, because you're copying that link and shooting it out. Anywhere that link goes, they can track it. Okay, doesn't matter where you put it. You send it out in an email. You said they can find out where it went, and then they can see what happened when it got there. So did somebody click that link after you sent it to them in an email? Did you post it in Facebook? When you did, how long did it run there? Where did it go? And they can track all of that. So, yes, sir.
You're saying that for a business, an animal type video gets more attraction than human?
I'm sorry, say that again.
For a business that want to do 1 minute marketing, you're saying that an animal video
Oh,
has more attraction than human? Is that what?
well, I'd say that, you know, YouTube has learned that certain types of content are highly engaging, right? Like people know that, like the cute dog video, the cute cat video, the cute baby, whatever, they go viral, right? People love this stuff. They share it all the time. Gets a lot of engagement. Oh, I love it all day long. So they know that. So without even thinking about it, they already know that like a certain content vertical is good all day long. Now, there's other content that doesn't necessarily do that. But again, you know, as a publisher, relative to your business model, you know, is a cute cat video really doing anything for you? You know, so, you know, it's relative, right? When you have a business model where certain content variants don't really apply, like I can't do the cute animal thing, how do I make my videos get the juice that I'm looking for? You have to think in terms of what's going to make people happy, what's going to get them to engage. Now, that is relative to what you do. You know, you have lots of different ways you can slice that pie. You know, content variants range. You can do animation, you can do live action, you can do historical, you can do funny, you can do highly informative. Depending on the nature of your business, this stuff is going to work out differently for you. But this is why you have a content strategy that you develop that takes, you know, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You try out different things. You see what works. Another way that you can do that is by looking at your competition, similar businesses. I mean, it doesn't have to be toe to toe. They don't have to be your direct competitor across the street. Probably not going to happen that way. But take a look at other restaurants. You know, what are they doing? You know, maybe you know of a restaurant that's, you know, highly popular on Instagram. Okay, what are they doing? What kind of content are they publishing that makes them that popular? You know, and God forgive me for saying this. You know, when it comes to restaurants, you know, you've heard that term food porn, right?
Food what?
Food porn. I know the word porn is very negative. God forgive me. I don't mean to say that. But food porn is great if you're in the restaurant business. Okay, you do food and drinks, food porn all day long. Now that works great for Instagram. You can do things with that when it comes to YouTube, TikTok, and those kinds of things. Short, sweet, to the point, and really show people what they would be getting if they came to your restaurant. You know, literally, I've seen people come up with little like food vacation tours. You know, or they'll watch the Food Network and they'll say, "Oh, Diners, Drive-ins, Dives, man, they went to this place in this city. I'm gonna go there." I have a friend of mine from Ohio. You know, he had some buddies come out and visit him a few years back, and I mean, this is outside of general, you know, social media and that kind of thing. They wanted to go to In-N-Out. I mean, that was like on their to-do list. They're only here for, I think, like less than a week. They're like, one of the things I like to do, we're going to In-N-Out. I'm like, really? They're like, yeah. I'm like, there's a whole thing right now. We're going to In-N-Out. I'm just like, come on. So just like, I mean, there's restaurants out on the East Coast, you know, Shaky, White Castle, exactly. You're just like, dude, I've seen it in movies. I heard it. I want to go there. So when you get a chance, it's one of the things that you do, right? So you want to do that for yourself, right? Make yourself something people want to do.
One of the gentlemen running for governor has 2 million followers on YouTube, and he says that's all he needs to win. He's 35-year-old millennial. He's proclaiming exactly what you said. YouTube gives them everything.
That's, yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, and that's true. I mean, if all those people are in his state and can vote legally and everything, you know, that's technically true. A couple million people can tip the scales and something like that. So it's relative to what you're doing. You need to capture your audience's attention. And if you're looking for subscribers, like just using clicks and engagement is one thing, but if you want subscribers, that's a whole nother. Because you're asking somebody to maintain engagement with your channel and get notifications about new content. Why would they want to do that? Why should I be tied into your brand that much? That's the question that you have to ask yourself and provide the answer relative to what your audience is looking for. Okay, if you are, again, just go to restaurants. If you're a restaurant, why does somebody care to follow you on YouTube or social media? You have to be providing them something. And it's not just, okay, you get the Friday food porn shot. Okay, great. I can see this dish. It looks real good. You got the 3D picture of it. Great. What else you got? Okay, you got to think outside of the box a little bit, or take content variants that work very well and just use it for your business model. You know, once upon a time, I used to run the marketing department for a moving company called Starving Students. It's a national brand, been around for over 40 years. And I had a hard time trying to figure out what to do with their social media. Came up with this idea of Funny Fridays. Not like it was new or anything like that. It's been done before, right? So moving industry and funny aren't really two things that go together, right? But I would do a lot of work and I would find content that other people had produced that I could then take and regurgitate for my own purposes. One of the things that comes to mind is there was a story, and this is some years back, early about 2000s, maybe 2005, 2007, somewhere in there. There was a woman who had made the news, I don't recall her name, because her kid had gotten trapped under a car. And she did the whole like mom Hulk thing. And like, she saw her kid was in danger, went over there and just like picked up a car with no assistance. Like there was no way that would be humanly possible without the adrenaline running through her body. Now, it was great, it made the news. It was like, oh, wow, she did this wonderful thing. There was a sketch comedy show at the time where they took that and wrapped it into a storyline where the main characters were moving, and the moving company they had hired was her. It was her and her like little kid. So this woman and this little kid show up to move all this furniture, and these guys are like, hey, you need a hand with that couch or that fridge? Like, it seems kind of heavy. You might need another pair of hands. She's like, oh, no, I got it, no problem. And the running joke was she could summon the strength when her kid was in danger. So all the kid would do is go like shimmy underneath the thing, and then like they would tip it over on him, and then all of a sudden he'd be like, mommy, help. And she's like, oh my God. And then she'd be able to just like Hulk thing up, and then she'd take it outside, throw it on the truck. And they kept doing it. And they were just like, huh. And it was hilarious. And then, you know, the bit turned into something else towards the end. I'm not going to ruin it, but it was funny. It was hilarious. It was a great bit. So there was a way to find some content out there that somebody else had produced that was funny relative to my business model. You have to do the research. It's not going to be easy, or, you know, sometimes you have to produce it yourself, but there is something out there if you look hard. Is it always going to be appropriate and age? You know, whatever, those are questions you have to answer for yourself, you have to edit, you have to make it appropriate, but there is stuff out, guaranteed, you will find something that will work for your business model if you look hard enough, or you can produce it. So those are the ways that YouTube really measures those. So how does YouTube rank content on the homepage? As I mentioned before, they have different models that apply to different parts of the page. So for the homepage, which is where people go to when they first log in, unless they're bookmarked to some other page or something like that. YouTube homepage shows a user's selection of videos. Excuse me, it's out on have determined that they're most likely to watch. Okay, so again, they're feeding you stuff that they already think based on all your watch history and other metrics that this is stuff that you're most likely to watch. They don't want you having to spend a bunch of time looking for stuff. They just kind of present it to you as soon as you log in. YouTube's homepage ranking algorithm uses a combination of performance and personalization signals. So performance, that's using a click-through rate and average view duration. YouTube is measuring how well a video engaged with other viewers when they saw it on their homepage. Okay, so they're just looking at the performance of that content on its own. Did it perform well? Did it not perform well? That's one of their signals. The other one is a personalization. So this is you. This is your watch history. This is how often you engage a specific channel or topic. Okay, now maybe you subscribe to a channel. Clearly, that's one of the things that goes into the personalization side of things, right? But it also somewhat feeds into the performance. So you can't have signals that do a little bit of both. But when you are going to a channel consistently, you subscribe to their content, you're getting them, that's clearly more of a personalization. So they know that, like, oh, okay, you really like that brand, feed that to the homepage. And it may not be the newest stuff. It may be older stuff, because I guarantee you haven't watched everything that somebody's produced. Some of these channels have thousands of videos, so there's something deeper in there that you didn't find yet, and to keep you engaged, to keep you coming back, YouTube's like, you like that channel. Here's some content you didn't see from like 3 years ago. Let's feed that up to the homepage, and you're going to keep coming back and coming back and coming back. So how does YouTube rank content in the suggested section? So this is got a couple more points to it than just the personalization and the performance. So videos are pulled into the suggestion section that are more personalized and related to what a user is currently watching. It shows videos that are relevant to the one being watched and takes into consideration the user's prior activity. Knowing how much of a channel or topic a user has watched in the past can help you to identify what to suggest more or less of. So again, they're tracking everything that you do to identify this stuff. There's other metrics involved, but these are the main ones that are discussed when we're talking about this algorithm. The bundles, which are videos that are watched together. So there's groupings of content, and people do this. If you look at your own watch history, you do this without realizing there's bundles of content that you watch. So YouTube is identifying that subject matter. So by topic alone, like you tend to watch certain types, whatever that is, and YouTube is learning that. So they're feeding that into that. Last one is watch history. So exactly what you specifically did watch. Now there's different timestamps to that stuff. If you watched something for 10 seconds, okay, that means one thing. If you watch something for 10 hours, that means something else. So the depth of your watch history matters as well. Did we have a question? No? No, okay. So those external ranking factors, those were internal ranking factors within the platform itself. Now, outside of that, to a degree, external ranking factors. So YouTube is looking at more than just itself to try to determine what the content feed should be. Essentially, YouTube's homepage and suggested sections are also playing off of this stuff. Now, topics of interest. So different topics have different potential audience sizes. That's something that should be somewhat obvious, but there are things that are too niche to have a wide audience base, and therefore YouTube isn't really doing too much to feed that to the top. Why should they? There's only a handful of people that care about that subject, but there's subject matter that is extremely popular and even controversial. So to a degree, YouTube is measuring all that and saying, okay, it's maybe it's an election year, and you've got all these topics that are going, okay, great, well, it knows political stuff, all these controversial topics, okay, that's something that people are into. And maybe you've got something that is, some new technology that's coming out, like blockchain and NFTs and stuff like that. Now there's a measure of people that are involved with that. And there's a lot of people that don't even know what that stuff is. So are they even looking for it? No. How are you gonna look up something you don't even know about at all? So, YouTube's looking at that like, okay, this is kind of popular. This is new stuff. Nobody's really looking for it yet. You know, it'll grow over time. But right now, it's not the primary thing. You know, your average Joe is not looking for that stuff. So they rank it accordingly. Now, as those topics get more exposure, that will change. Competition. So how much time your audience spends with content from other channels can impact how much of your content is recommended to them. So this is where your competitor space is really going to get kind of jammed up. You guys need to look at what your competition, if you're doing this, if you're a publisher, I'm speaking from that perspective, you look at what your competition is doing, because that can be effective with how much juice you're getting, okay? You want to be in a pool of content publishers where things are happening. You know, if not, you have to find a way to kind of make that connection. Seasonality, it's real simple. Some things are seasonal, bottom line. You know, example here we have is outdoor videos are more popular in the summer. You know, you don't see a lot of how to, you know, barbecuing videos and stuff like that until the weather gets good. You know, you're not gonna see that stuff mid-winter. You know, that popularity drops. And that happens also in general throughout the year. YouTube has this fluctuation around the holiday time, around winter time, that all content takes a slight dip. So that's something you need to recognize as a publisher, that maybe what you're doing does have some seasonality to it. And beyond that, YouTube in general is always going to kind of wax and wane throughout the year. Okay. So some pro tips. These are things that, that from a professional standpoint, we recommend that you guys do to try to help your YouTube publishing out. One of the things that we recommend is like optimize your video metadata. So when we talk about metadata, we're talking about titles, tags, descriptions. I mean, that's basically the meat of it. There's other little things you can do, but that's the meat. Okay, you really have to make sure that stuff is done right, because that's what YouTube is using to identify your content. And then you say, okay, you're a publisher of this kind of content. You put these kinds of keywords in it. You wrote this description about it. I know exactly what's in that video, and now I can push that out to people based on all the other, algorithms. If you don't know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about titles and tags, there's other presentations we've done in the past. We've talked about that, and we'll do more about that in the future. If you ever have a question, you can always email me, go to the website, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you have about it. But if you published a video on YouTube, you should know what I'm talking about. There's a description box. You got to put your title in there. There's a few other lines and boxes that you may not check, but all that stuff applies. It's all metadata. You also need to go beyond optimizing your video's metadata. You need to create compelling openings to your videos. Again, this is more in-depth stuff. If you're not too sure about how to do that, again, you might need to consult with somebody that knows a little bit more about this stuff, and that's fine. Just get to a point where you recognize that the metadata, the opening, the video itself, the closing, all this stuff is going to come together into a pretty package of good, viewable content that YouTube is going to recommend out to people. Your thumbnail, that image, that still shot that you're looking at when the video isn't playing. Sometimes it's, when you're watching that suggested feed, you see that still shot, you see the title, that's the thumbnail. Now it can be pulled from the video itself, or you can put one up there. If you're doing this stuff really at a high level, you're going to put one up there. Okay, create a thumbnail and then use that. For our channel, tends to be a still shot that is relative to the subject matter. So you can kind of see the picture and kind of maybe have an idea from an abstract perspective, nothing what that is going to be the look. Brands, I highly recommend if you're doing branded content, you come up with a standard thumbnail. Also adding chapters. Chapters, you guys, this kind of newer stuff, it's been around for a little while now, but if you aren't familiar with how to do that on a technical level, you can always ask on the side. But chapters basically break your video down into sections that people can then click on in the description and the timestamp, and it goes straight to that section. So maybe you've got an hour-long video and you're bringing up different points. Well, you can kind of cut that up by those points, and then people just go click on that timestamp and jump straight to that point of the video. Okay, you should do this. You definitely should, if your content allows for it. Not everybody's content lends itself to chapters, but if you can put them in there, it definitely helps. Provide your own SRT file with captions. So these are the captions. Now YouTube does allow for you to auto-generate using theirs. You just kind of click a box, decide what language, and it publishes. Great. That is fraud. with all types of misspellings, basically all types of things that can happen when you're not the one publishing it. So create your own file and give that to YouTube. So YouTube is reading the words you don't want them to be read. Yes.
I'm sorry, you're basically communicating with YouTube on the content of the video. It's called SRT file.
Yeah, SRT file. It's a type of file. Now, the type of the file is usually named after the publisher. Kind of like how you can have an AI file that's an Adobe Illustrator file, right? So you can have a PSD file, it's a Photoshop file. So it's just a file type to the producer. But SRT, I can't think of what what that publisher's name is right now, but that's just the name of the file type. But you can look that up and you'll find people who produce those file types. Now they cost money. They're not that expensive, but they are, they aren't free. You can do this on your own, but it's gonna take a long time for you to type every single word that you said the right way, put it all together in a proper format, and then upload that. This will make that process a lot easier for you, and a few bucks is not.
So
it's
what
definitely worth it.
I'm hearing you say is that if you're just talking, that will actually convert it into a caption in English caption, and then by using an SRT, you're getting the spelling correct.
Well, it's more than just getting the spelling correct. YouTube is got some pretty sophisticated software that's going to come up with a pretty good proper caption. But if you've ever seen the captions in videos on YouTube or anywhere else, and you'll notice what they said isn't what you read, that's why, because they're using something like what YouTube has. When everything is perfectly matched, what they say is what you read, it's because they've either uploaded their own file or they've done something like an SRT file. That is recommended. That is the better way to go. Yes.
So like SRT is kind of like a word dictionary, tailored towards the particular topic or subject matter. So
Yeah, it's just, it's just a file type that's created from the language of the video that is going to be.
Oh, no, but it functions as a dictionary so that the captions are more accurate and they're less.
Kind of, yeah, but it's also a dictionary that you're creating, because you're going to use words that are unknown, proper names, things like that, accents, all the kind of stuff that it's like, what is this? You're telling it what that is, and then it's going to properly put it into the file so that when YouTube feeds out that file, it's feeding off of the right information. But that is the best way to go. You can, again, use the YouTube automated option, but this is better for you, especially if you're publishing in different languages and things like that. Developing a series of videos that can help. So you want to think in terms of content series, not just a one and done. If you can, that's better for you. Having identifiable branding with a consistent title and thumbnail. I've mentioned that before. This is key. It will help people kind of find your content just by having a quick look. Ending each video with a call to action. Maybe it's click this button, go to this website, that kind of thing. Standardize it and make sure it's got the right spit and polish on it. That'll help a lot with conversions. Utilize playlists and end screens. Again, creating playlists that are grouping contents and series and that kind of thing is always going to help you and help your viewers. Uploading consistently can help sustain audience interest. You got to put stuff up regularly, and you drop off, and your audience drops off. If you're once a month, great, stay at least once a month. If you're doing it once every 2 weeks, keep that pace. Because the moment that pace drops off, you'll go off into oblivion. That's why you guys might notice that you'll watch some people on YouTube, your favorite influencers, whatever. Maybe they don't post in a little while. They know what their posting regularities are, and they'll jump up. Just something stupid, something quick, just like, oh, hey guys, just want to jump on it. Well, because they're aware of the fact that if they don't throw something up, they're going to maybe lose their audience. So it may be something stupid and somewhat worthless, but they do it just to keep something going. You've got to think along those lines. Have the quick stuff that you can throw out there, the word for the day, whatever it is. Like, hey guys, I just want to do whatever it is. 30 seconds, done. At least you put something out there. Okay. So you want to write blog posts and embed your videos in those blog posts if you can. This is the higher level content marketing, digital marketing stuff. If you don't have a website, clearly you cannot do this. You would need a website before you could do that. So if you have one and you can publish blogs, your video content from your YouTube channel can then be embedded in those blogs and you can write around it. That is the highest form of getting the value of the video and any surrounding text. So you want to think about keywords, you want to think about long tail, short tail keywords, other phraseology that would help people find your content and want to engage it. That's what the written blogs really help. Plus search engine results pages, that's going to help boost that opportunity a lot because there's things you can do with text that you can't do with video to optimize it and to help it get to the top of the search. So, lastly here, there's something called the 24-hour rule. This is basically anytime a video is published on YouTube, you have 24 hours to get as much traffic to that video as possible before YouTube stops considering it for that suggested algorithm on the homepage. Now, this is for people who aren't already in your content pool, but also people who are. The more traffic you get to a video within the first 24 hours after it's published, the better off you will be in the long term and in the short term. So a lot of people like Neil Patel, they'll do this by sending that video out through their email lists, because you get usually pretty high click-through rates from that. They will also publish it on social media and every channel that they have. You'll see that same video on Facebook, on LinkedIn, you're like, why is this guy publishing the video in like 10 different places? Because not everybody's catching it in the same place. You'll get cross-pollination. Eventually, I mean, it's all going back to YouTube. All that juices and all those social engagement metrics are all coming back to YouTube, and YouTube is saying, okay, you got it out there in a bunch of different places. People like it, they're sharing it, they're engaging with it. People are coming back to here to watch it. And it doesn't matter if they're watching in-page or if they actually go to YouTube to watch it. It really doesn't matter. YouTube is seeing the viewership. They're seeing maybe the likes, maybe you're going to leave a comment in the video. Well, you have to go to YouTube to do that anyway. So there's certain engagement that can't happen unless you're on YouTube, and that's where YouTube is identifying all those metrics. So the 24-hour rule, remember that. First 24 hours of publishing a video are the most important from its lifespan. Yes, ma'am. How so?
Amazon will allow you to upload.
Correct.
So is there a workaround for that to get back to YouTube?
Don't use Amazon as the place where you're trying to link. I mean, there's certain restrictions that platforms have. This is, again, you want your own website. I mean, it doesn't matter what you're doing and how you're doing it. You really should have your own website, because from there you can do anything and everything you want that's legal. So when it comes to like a video share that's not going through on Amazon, but you sell products, you're like, how am I supposed to get this video on there that I want? Maybe it's a review, or product review or something like that. Like, this isn't working. Well, you've got your website. That's where all that stuff lives. If it can't go onto Amazon or a third-party platform or something like that. So there's not a workaround. No. I mean, like, Amazon's pretty secure. I mean, like, even if there was a hack, it would be illegal. And if you pursued it, it would get caught and you get shut down pretty fast. Don't do that. So, I mean, is it possible? Sure, I'm sure it's possible. If it's not something that they allow for, typically don't do it, because you're violating terms of service when you do stuff like that anyway. People kind of forget about that. You violate TOS on a site, you're done. They just cut you out of the equation, you're done. You're blacklisted forever. That can happen on Yelp, that can happen on Amazon, that can happen pretty much on YouTube. So you got to be careful that you're playing by the rules. And that's why when I say Google's #1 search engine, YouTube's #2 behind that, well, you're playing by Google's rules. Okay, even when you're on YouTube, you're technically playing by Google's rules. So whatever their guidelines are, you have to follow. So this is just a list, the 20 things you guys just learned. I have a nice list here of kind of all these points. So if you're writing them down or not, they're all kind of here. So if you guys want this presentation later, like I said, once the site's been restored, you can go to the website, go to the Google Drive, download this and get all this stuff. And you can kind of go over it point for point. The website is bizforchrist.com. It will again be back up probably the next 24, 48 hours. This is my website, digital-admin.com. You can go there, you can book a call, you can submit a question through email. If you guys are interested in knowing more stuff than what we've been able to present here. So I know it was kind of a quick run through. If you guys have any questions from that, I won't be surprised. But I think that's what we can do for the day. So really appreciate you guys coming out. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anton. You talk fast, but you get a lot in. Okay, I'm glad we recorded this today. I was able to watch it coming in. Sorry for the delay. And I thank you all for participating and being attentive. My name is Kathy. Next week, we're gonna have Craig Catalora. Copyright. Again. And again, thank you for participating, Anton, and let's close in prayer. Heavenly Father, I just thank you for this time we all could be together, Lord. Just guide us and lead us daily, Lord. We need your strength and your wisdom just to do our daily chores and create whatever business you have for us, Lord. I pray for each one of us as we go out today, and travel mercies for anybody traveling, and into different countries or other states, Lord. I know there's a lot of chaos in this world right now. I just pray for the wisdom of our leadership of our church, which we desperately need. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Sure, no problem.
Thanks for Christ.
Hey, everybody, there's a rally today at Alcohol for Religious Freedom.
Yep.
Civic Center, it's Prescott Promenade, Pompeo, and who's the other one speaking? Bill Well, and,
Bill Wells will be there.
Bill Wells and the guy running for governor.
yeah, if you got Larry Elders.
Larry Elder.
Wells is speaking. If you can make a little bit of time, numbers mean things. What time? Starts at 3.
Starts at 3.
All right.
Get there early.
Hey,